Okay, so we're live. So thank you everybody for joining myself and Dr. David Kubes here. And
Hello,
I'm just going to say straight off, thank you all the translators for being here. You guys are super amazing. So we have this being translated into a few different languages. So David, what are we talking about today?
Well, taxes, what else?
One of our favorite topics, and I like that we call this taxes is not a dirty word.
I know. I think we're the only people on the planet who truly enjoy playing and being creative around taxes. The feedback I got so far about our little plan doing this tax call, oh my God, what is going on? In what direction is the world heading?
I know. I love that Fabiola, who works with us, and she in our little WhatsApp thread, she said, "This is what people do when David and Simone start talking about taxes." And she's got this gif of this person looking at us and then just like running away. So it's like, how many of you run away when we talk about taxes? It's like, what if it's not something that you have to run away from? I just want to give a little bit of a background for myself, David, and then maybe you can do the same thing. Because I'm actually facilitating a Right Riches for You class at the moment. And if you want to know more about all of this, you can look at the URL below. Like I think Anna Maria is going to put that up there, and you can find out about our taxes class, But I'm facilitating a Right Riches class at the moment, and it keeps coming up. And it's so funny. We talk about so many different things, and everyone's present. And then I start talking about taxes, and I'm like, hello, 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 hello. Anyone there, there? Like they just disappear. But here's the thing, I did the same thing. And that's what I want to acknowledge and admit today is I hated taxes and I hated finances and I hated accounting and I hated profit and loss and all of it. I really did. I grew up with my perception of what I was going to create was just creativity. I was going to change the world and just create, be this huge, big creative thing in the world and blah, 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 this whole thing. And my dad, God bless him, as it's Easter Sunday, he was a devout Catholic. He's now passed away for about 10 years ago. And he was the one who pointed out to me, and he actually drew me this graph, right? He drew me this graph and it had, all these different, parts to it. And he was like, here's your creation, here's your finances, your accounting, like all of this sort of thing about how you have to look at a business, or your life is how I say it. And he had this, big thing about finance and taxes and everything. And I got all huffy and hands on hips, being the petulant daughter. And I was like, that's not my graph. This is my graph. And I drew a completely different one. And creation took up like 90% of it. And then 10% was the finances. And my father so patiently looked at me and he said, Simone, he said, if you do not know about this, and pointed at the finance, taxes, everything, he went, you cannot have this, which was the creation part. And I'll never forget it because he dealt with me being all petulant, stomping my foot, hands on hips, going, no. And he was like, Simone, you need to look at this if you're going to choose to be in business, if you're going to choose to be successful. And I knew he was right, David. So I did start from that moment. It's like I, begrudgingly started looking at things. And he said to me, you need to be able to read your profit and loss statement. I didn't want to read a profit and loss statement. I'm not a boring person. I was an exciting person. I would go out to nightclubs and I would do all these different things. People like that don't read profit and loss statement. That's how I function. I was like, no, dismissive. And then finally, when I started to look at it, wow, did it get creative? I was like, this is an element of creation that I had not known existed. And then from there to now, it just keeps getting better and better and greater and greater. And taxes is such a huge part of how you can be creative. So trust me, I was there. All of you guys who want to run 1,000,000 miles, I was there. Okay. And now I'm here, much better on this side. So, David, I just want you to give your background as well about how this was for you growing up, etc., and what got you excited about taxes.
Well, I grew up in a very, very socialist, almost communist family, and my dad was an accountant as well.
Oh, I didn't know that. Both of our dads.
An accountant, everything had to be, filed, and everything had to be reported, and he had all of that. He didn't have Excel sheets. He had his book where he wrote everything in.
Yes, the big book with the
I
pink ribbon
know.
and stuff like that.
I
The
know.
old
And
school.
he had this manual machine where you sum up and then it produces this printouts, and it
Yes.
was like,
Yep.
look. So
Yep.
this is
Yep. That's
yep, that, and I considered it as so boring. And when I finally finished law school and opened my law firm on my own, it was in my living room in my students' apartment. I was still living in my students' apartment. I bought a desk at IKEA, a printer, and a computer. This is how I started my law firm. And then I was like, oh, I need to look at taxes. So my dad said, okay, I can help you out, and started explaining it. I had the point of view, if I pay taxes, I'm stupid. Only the stupid pay taxes. So if I bought the lie, if I rise to the maximum of my creativity, I don't need to deal with this. And I also had a conversation with my dad, because he was very pragmatic. He just did everything. And then he said, this you paid to VAT, and this is your income tax. Put it aside. This is not your money. He always told me, put it aside, put the tax money aside. And I was like, oh no, and I'll create another tax write-off here. I'll be creative. And he looked at me and said, stop that. Why would you stop that? Go outside. Who pays for the infrastructure? Who pays for the roads? Who pays for that? He said, you need to travel to third world countries to see how gifted you are that we have a functional tax system. And he just looked at me and said, so stop. He didn't say shit. He just says, just stop that. With this being, how can you be that uneducated? And that moment, I actually recognized that taxes is not just someone taking from you. There is something like an ecosystem. Someone has to pay for all the common areas. That was I don't know. That's when the coin dropped. And I was like, wait a minute. I benefit from all of that. So I have to be willing to contribute to it. Of course, not, here, take it. I'm rich, the rich pay for the poor. But it allowed me then to look at it, to be creative without having that sense of someone is stealing from me, something is robbing me. Every time I had a tax audit, I was like, oh my God, they come and steal. How dare they? No, they are actually also creative people. And yes, there are tax regulations, and let's see how we can actually beautifully work around, be creative here. So that conversation invited me to look at taxes from that kind of, okay, what if this was also some sort of gifting and receiving and being part of the ecosystem we all benefit from, because we live in communities. We're not, we all want to be unique, and, and there are streets, electricity, someone needs to pay for it. That helped me getting over that resistance of being stolen, being ripped off, I don't know. Still, there were weird energies around it. I considered myself extremely stupid if I paid a single cent of tax. And now I go like, wait a minute, I'm actually contributing. So, yep.
Well, and so why we're doing this live is David and I have a call coming up, and it's a 3-part series. And if you want more information on it, you can go to the link below, simonemillicers.com/taxes. And I know David and I are going to have a lot of fun with this, and we would like to invite you to have a lot of fun. You don't have to know about taxes. I don't claim I know everything about taxes. I'm not a tax agent. It's like either is David. But the one thing we both have is we're willing to be in question with it. And we're willing to be in question with all different, countries and where they do tax, etc. And look at like, oh, what's happening over there? What's happening over there? I have been so intrigued to find out different, rules and regulations around the world that you can play with. And that's literally what you end up doing. It's like, I pay taxes and I don't mind paying taxes. I'm okay with paying taxes. David pays taxes. I heard you say the other day, we both pay a lot of taxes, but we both earn a lot of money. And we also are very creative with it. There's a lot of creativity you can do with it. So for example, just a really quick example, it's like in Australia, my personal taxation bracket is 46 cents in the dollar. And I know some countries are like 46 cents. Oh my God, I pay so much more. I pay less. There's such a diversity around the world. But a company tax is way less than 46 cents in the dollar. So then I can get creative by offsetting money into different companies that invest in different things. And I just want to reiterate, I was not here. Okay. The second book I ever wrote was Getting Out of Debt Joyfully. I was $187,000 in debt. I had absolutely nothing to show for it except having a good time, and I definitely was not putting away money for taxes. I wasn't doing any of that. I was just ignoring it. Like I was literally ignoring all of that. And then when I started to change my point of view and go, you know what, I've got to change the way I look at this. And I started looking at it. And I mean, one of my first jobs was when I was 16, and I would work at my dad's accounting firm because I would want to buy like a new swimming costume or something, some new bathers. So I'd go, okay, it's this amount, and he'd pay me X amount per hour. And I would calculate, okay, I got to do this many hours so I can buy this new swimming costume or something like that. And I did in the old books, like you used to talking about the accounting, and you'd have to write it all, each receipt, and then do the thing. And you'd be like 2 cents out, which may as well be $2 million because you still had to go find where that 2 cents was, and I hated it. I really did. But I loved that I was earning money to get a new swimming costume. And later on, can I say I am so incredibly grateful that I learned all of that. And it's not too late to gain awareness and to educate yourself on what you can choose. And you don't have to know everything yourself. That's why we have accountants. That's why you have lawyers. That's why you have financial advisors. You need to go out there and expand your capacities. But you got to have all this stuff that backs you up so that you can be more creative and exponentialize your business and your life and your finances even more. So, I mean, yeah.
Thank you for that, Simone, because what I want to add to that is we all know that your point of view creates your reality. And one thing we all know, when you have your barriers up, when you are resisting something, you cannot just, black out the sunlight for the women in a room, or you cannot just black out the sunlight for the, I don't know, under 18 ones. No, when you close the curtains, the curtains are closed. So that telecall, what I want to invite people to, is not about how to do your taxes. You have an accountant for that. But your point of view about it, the resistance part, that keeps away business. That keeps you constantly flying under the radar. When you hide, when you fly under the radar, well, how far can you go? I want to invite people to actually go, oh, wow, there's the whole universe available, the whole playground of a worldwide market available. So let's fly above the radar, so we don't need to hide anywhere and we don't need to resist anything. And taxes is a beautiful example for socially accepted resistance, because in the spiritual world it's just like, just boring, just, why would I'm this being and this and the creativity, and it's all okay. Add taxes or get rid of the resistance towards it, and then see what shows up.
I love that you said that we're not going to be, because we're not tax agents, and we're not licensed to actually give you advice like that. But what we will contribute is you getting rid of your point of view. I love that you said that. And I just want to say, if you come on the call, great. I know we are going to have an absolute laugh. That is for sure. And I know that usually don't laugh with taxes, but we will. And I also, if you don't come on the call, that's fine. But what I want you to do is I want to give you some home play no matter what. It's like, if you have that resistance to taxes, as David mentioned right at the beginning, it's like, have a look around where you live. Like I was in Brisbane a few days ago, and a friend of mine was sort of complaining about taxes. And I went, but look around where we are. We were walking on this, they've built this beautiful walkway on the river that you can do this huge walk on the river. And then we went to the New Farm Park, and we were there, and I was like, look at all of this. This is your taxes. This is what gives you your taxes, right? This is what the government, part of it. So have a look around and just acknowledge, do you like the roads you drive on? It's like, that's your taxes. What's your train system like, or your bus system like, etc. That's your taxes.
Or even the airports or the telecommunication systems, all of that needs infrastructure. You wake up in the morning, you turn the light on, but who builds the power plant? Of course, it's behind there are companies behind it, but the infrastructure, that's the part. It's the basis, and I love that home play. Look around and go, okay, wow, be a little grateful, or write that list of what are you enjoying that you haven't actually acknowledged yet. Is it granted? Is it normal for you? In Vienna now we have spring, and the government has its own gardening department. On every corner you have fresh tulips, because this is the time. It is just so incredibly beautiful, and the whole garden department costs a lot of money, but the city is just stunningly beautiful. And that again attracts tourists, and tourists attract money, and that attracts congresses, and that it's an endless, it goes into endless direction, all feeds into something else. So it's not just taking. That tax money goes in multiple directions and actually comes back to you in the weirdest ways. Pay a little attention to that and then see how that contributes to your willingness to change your point of view.
Oh, David, you and I seriously, you and I are going to have fun.
Oh, yes. Yes.
I'm going to say to everyone, we'll be gentle, okay? But if you do sign up, there's one request that I had is, one, I want to know what area you do your taxes in, like where you're registered for tax. And then two, I would like at least 2 or 3 questions or topics that you are stumped with. And it can be anything. This is not about ridiculing. This is not about you being stupid or pointing out you're an idiot. Not at all. Like I said, I was one of the biggest idiots on the planet with all of this. And now I'm not. And now I have money, by the way, and I keep making more money. So just want to say that it's like my point of view changed and everything changed. So yeah. David and I know could talk about this forever and ever. So I think we might, leave you here with this cliffhanger of a tax call. So
yes.
Yeah. Is there anything else you want to say, David?
Well, I want to invite people to explore that and remember, what you resist the most might be the biggest game changer on your way to the life you truly desire to live. Come along, give it a try. Hey, there's nothing you can lose. You might be a little smarter regarding taxes. So yeah, I noticed how it changed my whole way of being creative, of running my businesses. Everybody else I could inspire so far just still keeps growing, because there is no resistance anymore. And that's probably the most valuable part of that, to get rid of that underlying resistance that you kind of send out with everything you're being without even noticing. So it's probably way more than a tax call.
I think it's
Let's see.
I love that you keep bringing that up too, because I've always noticed anything that I've resisted the most usually creates the most change. That simple. So, so don't come and have way too much fun with David and I on our tax call. We're fine on our own. We talk about it all the time.
I know. If nobody signs up, we'll do it and just
we'll be fine. We'll gain more awareness, but we do. That's what we do. I go, David, what would you do with this one, this one, this one? And you go, okay. And it's like, we do. We talk about stuff like that all the time. So now people are like, my God, I thought they were exciting. They're boring. No, we're not.
No, we're not. And you are in Australia, and that they have such a different way of looking, the trusts. We don't have trusts in Europe the way you have it there. So, oh my God, I can't wait to learn from you.
Negative gearing, Division 7A companies. Oh my God. And please don't worry. You've got this. If you're coming on, you know absolutely nothing. Okay. We will be gentle and patient with you. You get the recordings, you get all of that. And there is absolutely no stupid questions. We would just like you to have more freedom with this so that you can be the millionaire, billionaire that you were meant to be.
Yep.
That's it, ladies and gentlemen. All right. Thank you again. Thank you so much, translators. You guys are amazing. Thank you, our wonderful Koi. And David, I'll see you soon on the tax call. It'll be my 6 a.m. in the morning. But if you go to the link below, you'll get all the details there.
Thank you so much, Simone. Thank you, everyone out there. Thank you. Take care. See you soon. Bye-bye.
Thanks, everyone. Bye-bye.
Bye.